What are the last words that Moshe told the Jewish people after he blessed every tribe in the end of Parshat Vizot HaBracha? The last words are recorded in the 33rd chapter of Sefer Dvarim, because the 34th chapter all describes the death of Moshe. There's actually a dispute in the Talmud who wrote these last verses of the Torah. The Talmud discusses the last 8 verses from the verse that says that Moshe died. According to some opinions, Moshe wrote these verses beforehand, but it's hard to understand how he could write something that's not true yet. He didn't die yet, and he's writing already that he died. It says that he wrote bidima, in tears. The Vilna Gaon, and the same thing is brought in the name of Baal Shem Tov, understand the word bidima here is not in tears, but in mixture of letters, meaning he wrote the verses that would become the last 8 verses of the Torah. He wrote them in a kind of through the coding of some sort, where letters that are in spiritual Torah, as they say, black fire on top of white fire, those letters were projected differently. And later it was decoded after Moshe died into the verses that we have in the Torah that says that Moshe died. But the other opinion in the Talmud openly says that the last 8 verses of the Torah were written by Yoshua. And Ibn Ezra and some other commentators go a step further and say it's not just the last 8 verses, but the entire 34th chapter, meaning the last 12 verses. They were all written by Yoshua, because they all discuss how Moshe ascended the mountain and then died. If it's only the last 8 verses that are written by Yoshua, then how did Moshe write the previous 4 verses? Did he come down and write those verses and then went up again? That makes no sense. So that's why Ibn Ezra concludes that all 12 last verses were written after Moshe's death. Whatever the case may be, even if Moshe wrote the last verses of the Torah, at any rate, they are not directed to the Jewish people. They are written in the Torah, but it's not something he said immediately necessarily. He could have written it, for instance, in the scroll and then ascend the mountain, but the last words that are actually directed as part of the preaching that Moshe did in the last month and 7 days of his life. The entire Sefer Dvarim takes place in just 1 month and 7 days. Because the Torah says that Moshe started preaching on the first day of the 11th month. And according to tradition, he died on the 7th of Adar, the 7th day of the 12th month. So this last preaching of Moshe, which verse is that? So that's clearly the 33rd chapter, the last verse of the chapter. After he already blessed the 12 tribes, actually 11 out of 12 tribes. He didn't bless Shimon, but maybe his blessing is included in the blessing of Yehuda. At any rate, the very last phrase is very relevant today. And it says, happy is Israel, Ashrecha Israel, you should be happy, you should, who is like you, Hashem helps you. And the last words are, Vayikachashu oivecha lach, ve'alta al bamotemo tidroch. So this word kachash, the root seems to be from some kind of denying or lying. Your enemies will lie to you or deny something, and you will walk on the high places, meaning you will be powerful, and they will do what? So one common translation is cringe. The enemies will be so afraid that they will try to make alliances with the Jewish people and make it look like as if they are our friends. But I saw an interesting interpretation in the writings of Shadal, and that is that kachash here, a denying of some sort, is the idea that the nations that used to be considered very strong, everybody was afraid of them. Everybody thought these are very powerful armies, very powerful enemies. Once they lose, their loss will be so obvious to everyone, it's as if it's going to deny, it's going to contradict the original assumption. Everybody will be saying, meaning you could see that all these enemies, they're not really so strong. people thought they were strong, but now that the Jewish people were able to win over them in a clear victory, they're actually weak. Their former glory is denied by their weakness now. That's the kachash here. And it certainly rings very true in terms of what we see today. How many times Israel was warned that Hezbollah is incredibly strong, that entering into confrontation with them will bring thousands upon thousands of, it will be a bloodbath, it will bring thousands upon thousands of sacrifices. And in the end, Hezbollah is running away. They're afraid. May it be the will of Hashem that we'll see more and more miracles, even though we don't deserve. We realize we're not that great. There's a lot in which we could become, ways in which we could become better. But Hashem is kind to us. A lot of times more than we deserve. We're getting tremendous siyata deshmaya right now, and hopefully all these terrible monsters, Hezbollah, that is terrorizing not just the Jewish people. Until now, for the last few years, they were terrorizing lots of Arabs of various kinds. The people in Syria, they're saying that they used to put live people in graves. There was a lot of sexual terror against women, Arab women. But they're not the same sect. It's Sunni Arabs, not Shiite Arabs, whatever. So the methods, the Hezbollah methods are incredible, Achzarius, incredible torture, whatever they do, it's so horrible. And now all of a sudden they're so weak, they run away. There are a lot of Arabs who are celebrating this. The former strength, everybody was afraid of them. They're like the strongest army there. The strongest, they say, non-governmental army in the world. It's stronger than a lot of European countries' armies. All of a sudden, we will walk on the high places and destroy that evil, which will be good for everyone, not just for the Jews. It's going to be good for everybody. If only the monsters could be destroyed, the people of Lebanon could live a good life. There's no even major territorial disputes between Lebanon and Israel. Actually, under previous government of Israel, they gave them everything they wanted in terms of, there was some dispute about the sea borders exactly, and after Israel found the treasures hidden there. By the way, also interestingly, right, the Torah says Shvunei Tvunei Chol in our parsha with regards to Zvulun, exactly the borders where they found the natural gas, this Leviathan gas, was actually where the Torah predicts in near Haifa, around there, near Zvulun's territories, via Ketor Tzedon, right, where it goes towards the Mediterranean in the northeast. That's where there's supposed to be hidden treasures in the sand. The Talmud talks about chilazon, the special murex shells from which the techelet is made. It talks about the special glass that was made from this very expensive glass was made from the sand. But we now see there's another treasure hidden in there. Gas, natural gas, a lot of billions of dollars worth of gas. So there was a dispute exactly where the border of Lebanon is. And during the previous administration, Israel just wanted to avoid any kind of war. They wanted to settle this dispute, so they gave everything that Lebanon wanted. But Hezbollah, it only whenever it's given something, they only see themselves as powerful, and they see the other side as weak. They see it as a weakness that Israel wants to avoid the war, therefore will be even more chutzpahdik. Imagine if they would be coordinating with Hamas, even so if in the previous Simchat Torah they would come together with Hamas. Hamas would attack from the south and Lebanon and Hezbollah from the north. They could have had thousands of people dead, maybe tens of thousands of people dead there. But Baruch Hashem, it took them like a day to figure out. Apparently Hamas didn't tell Hezbollah that they're planning to do this. I mean, Hezbollah was also planning the same type of attack, but they didn't coordinate which day and what, and there was no command from Iran, so Hamas was thinking that they'll put it as a given fact in front of everybody else. We already did it, so you join in. So Hezbollah joined only the day later, and by that time Israel was prepared, and they put actually more people in the north and in the south. At that time, they considered Hezbollah a greater danger than Hamas, which it is. It's a much stronger army. But by that time, they had at least, while they were caught by surprise by Hamas, they were not caught by surprise by Hezbollah, and it was already too late for Hezbollah to execute a similar plan. But had they done it at the same time, there could have been tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dead. But at least we were saved from that. And now that Israel is working on the high places and destroying them easily, so we see mamash the fulfillment of these words, and we'll hope that true peace will come, and people of Lebanon will be able to live together in peace. Shiites, Sunnis, Christian Muslims, Christian Arabs, Druzes, all kinds of people in Lebanon. They could live together. It's not impossible for people of different religions and different nationalities to live together. But as long as Iranian proxy Hezbollah is there, there's no way that they could have a stability. They just have these monsters that hold the part of the government, and everybody's scared of them. The Lebanese army is very weak, and Israel is helping. Really, they should be very thankful to Israel. I know that very few Arabs at this point realize that, but hopefully they will realize in the future. Just like the Germans, I would imagine that the Germans are generally thankful to the allies who removed Hitler from them. If you ask a German today, I don't know, I didn't speak to Germans today, I have never been to Germany, but I'm just wondering, if you talk to Germans today, would they admit that it was a good thing that the allies won and that Hitler and Nazis were removed from them? Or would they rather be the winners of World War II? I don't know. I hope they realize that it was a good thing. So the hope is that maybe one day the Arabs in Lebanon and the other nationalities in Lebanon will realize that it is Israel that brought them future, prosperity, life. But Hezbollah has to be destroyed. I hope that this will be fulfilled very, very soon in our lifetime. We'll see Lebanon as again a Singapore of Middle East, they used to call it, not the failed state with the Iranian proxy that scares and terrorizes its own people and all of its neighbors, including Israel. And on this I'm going to end. If you like this video, please press like.